The lights inside the America's Got Talent Theater dimmed slowly, and the crowd settled into a quiet anticipation. Another contestant was about to step onto the biggest stage in the world, but no one, absolutely no one, was prepared for what they were about to witness. A small Filipino kid, barely tall enough to reach the microphone comfortably, walked out with nervous steps. His hands trembled slightly as he waved shyly at the audience. He looked so young, so ordinary, like someone you'd see singing softly in a school program, not standing under the pressure of national television. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair with a familiar expression of skepticism. Howie Mandel smiled politely. Sofia Vergara whispered something playful to Heidi Klum. The judges had seen thousands of performers. A child singing Elvis Presley? It sounded like another cute attempt. The kid introduced himself in a soft accent, explaining he came from a humble town in the Philippines. His family had little, but music was everything. The audience clapped gently, supportive but unsure. Then Simon asked the usual question, "And what will you be singing for us today?" The boy took a deep breath, eyes wide but determined, and said, "I will sing an Elvis Presley song." A murmur rippled through the theater. "Elvis? From this kid?" Simon raised his eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. The music started, slow and haunting, and in that very first second, the entire room changed. The moment the kid opened his mouth, time seemed to stop. What came out was not the voice of a child. It was deep, rich, powerful, an uncanny echo of Elvis Presley himself. Gasps exploded across the audience. People's mouths dropped open. Simon's posture shifted instantly, leaning forward as if trying to confirm what he was hearing. Howie's eyes widened in disbelief. Sophia's jaw fell open, her hand flying to her chest. The kid's voice carried a soul far beyond his years, each note dripping with emotion and control. It wasn't an impression. It wasn't a joke. It was real. The sound filled the theater like a wave, wrapping around every person in the room. Some audience members began to tear up almost immediately, not because it was sad, but because it was unbelievable. The kid sang with the confidence of a legend, his tone perfectly matching Elvis's signature style, yet still uniquely his own. His small body stood still, but his voice was enormous, like the spirit of rock and roll had somehow chosen him as its vessel. Simon Cowell, known for his brutal honesty, looked stunned, almost speechless. The crowd, already roaring, couldn't believe this voice was coming from a young boy from the Philippines. This wasn't just talent. This was something rare, something magical. As the performance continued, the judges were no longer judging. They were witnessing. Simon Cowell's face was frozen in astonishment, his eyes locked on the kid as if searching for answers. Howie Mandel kept shaking his head, repeatedly mouthing, "No way." Sofia Vergara looked like she was watching a miracle unfold, her eyes sparkling with emotion. Heidi Klum leaned forward with a smile of pure disbelief. The kid hit every note with precision, his voice soaring through the high points, then dropping into that smooth Elvis growl effortlessly. The band behind him seemed energized, realizing they were part of something historic. The audience began clapping along, but many were simply too stunned to move. Halfway through the song, the kid added his own small twist, an emotional phrasing that made the performance feel personal, not copied. That's when Simon's expression changed completely. This wasn't just a kid mimicking Elvis. This was an artist, a true performer, someone who could stand on this stage and command it. The camera caught Simon whispering to himself, almost involuntarily, "I can't believe what I'm hearing." The theater was electric. It felt like everyone knew they were watching a once-in-a-lifetime audition. When the song ended, the kid held the final note so beautifully that silence followed, pure silence. Then suddenly, the entire theater erupted into thunderous applause. People stood up instantly, cheering and screaming. The kid looked overwhelmed, his eyes filling with tears. He bowed shyly, still trying to process the reaction. Simon was the first to speak, but even he seemed shaken. I don't even know what to say," he admitted. "That was genuinely unbelievable." Howie leaned in and asked, "Where did you learn to sing like that?" The kid explained that his father used to play Elvis songs on an old radio. They didn't have much, no fancy music lessons, no expensive equipment. Just a small home, big dreams, and music that helped them escape hardship. He practiced every day, singing in the streets, at school events, wherever he could. Sophia's voice softened as she said, "You are so young, but you sing like you have lived 1,000 lives." The kid smiled through tears and said he wanted to make his family proud, to give them a better life. The audience responded with even louder applause, deeply moved. This wasn't just a performance anymore. It was a story of hope, talent rising from struggle, and dreams crossing oceans. Simon Cowell is not easily impressed. The world knows that. He has built his reputation on being brutally honest, sometimes even cold. But in this moment, something rare happened. Simon looked at the kid with genuine respect. "I have seen thousands and thousands of singers," he said slowly, "and I can honestly tell you, I have never seen anything like this." The crowd cheered again. Simon continued, "You shouldn't exist. That voice shouldn't come out of someone your age. But it does, and it's extraordinary." How he slammed the desk and shouted, "That was insane." Sophia laughed through tears, saying, "Elvis would be proud." Heidi added, "You are a star already." The kid stood there trembling, overwhelmed by the words. Simon leaned forward one last time. "This is why this show exists. To find someone like you." The atmosphere felt almost sacred. The judges weren't just praising him. They were acknowledging that something historic had just happened on that stage. That night, the Filipino kid walked onto the AGT stage as a nervous child, but he walked off as something else entirely, a global sensation in the making. The audition would soon spread across the internet, with millions replaying the moment again and again, unable to believe what they heard. Comments would flood in, "This gave me chills, Elvis reincarnated, the most shocking audition ever." But beyond the viral fame, what mattered most was the inspiration. A kid from the Philippines, with nothing but passion and perseverance, had stood before the toughest judges in America and left them speechless. His voice proved that talent has no borders, no age, no limits. As the curtain closed, the audience continued cheering, and the kid looked up toward the lights with tears in his eyes, knowing his life had changed forever. In that moment, it wasn't just an Elvis voice that stunned the world, it was the birth of a dream coming true. And everyone watching knew this was only the beginning.